Good morning. 7 o'clock, Monday morning, Perth, Western Australia. Actually interested to know. So, for anyone that's tuning in, whether it's now or later, I would like you to pop in the comments where you're from. So if you're not from Perth, I would actually like to know where you're from. I'd be really interested to know how many people I do get from outside of our little area here. So good morning. Hashtag replay if you watch afterwards. So and also comment on maybe what you got out of what I'm giving you. So I did pop a little post out on the weekend, or maybe on Friday, I can't remember, asking you a question. What would you like to see more of? Or am I kind of hitting the nail on the head with what I'm giving you on Monday morning? So I'd be interested to know, is there something else you'd like me to cover at some point? If there is, some ideas of maybe what you would like me to do. So it could be even movement based. Yep. Because I do both, mind and body. So what would you like to see more of? And what are you enjoying and what are you getting out of this? So anyway, let's start our morning. So this morning we're talking about the power of the mind and imagination, basically. It's really important that we understand just what tools that we've got within ourselves to make a massive difference to, again, our longevity, anti-aging, and how you feel about yourself as well. So many different things that we can cover with that thought process, that imagination. So our hippocampus, which sits in the middle, is responsible for our memory, and that's what we want to make sure that we're using a lot. The more we use that hippocampus, the stronger we make it, and especially as we get older, because we do not want any signs of age-related brain disorders creeping in. So the more you use the brain and utilize it, I think I probably will do a talk on different ways to stimulate our brain. But today we'll talk about just using our imagination and the power of that, and just what we can do right down to the cellular level. Okie dokie. So I want to make sure I keep on track today with my notes. Okay. You know there's a lot of science behind being able to sit down and imagine yourself doing something. So let's talk about it at the cellular level, healing visualizations. And you've heard of people fixing themselves and actually shrinking cancer and all of these sorts of things. And sometimes we might sit there and think, is that really possible? Is it possible for us to think our way into a healthier body if we had something like cancer? We'll talk about that first. Well, absolutely, yes, it is. It does require, though, that somebody has unwavering focus, an unlimited belief, an unlimited belief in what they're doing, yeah? Those things must be in alignment, and the person must have acknowledged where they're at as well. So if the person acknowledges where they're at and they can really be consistent and persistent and also have that unlimited belief, and they use visualization, they can cure themselves. How do I know this for sure? I have people in my life that are doing this right now. And it's not the first time that they've actually done it in their life. And this particular person that I'm talking about, who shall remain nameless, I don't want to name her, but this is the second time that she has been through this. And after having chats with her about the first time it happened and what was going on in her life at the time and things like that, she knows beyond a shadow of a doubt that the stress from her first marriage and the fact that she didn't do anything with that emotion and she just kept packing it down, which we've talked about in previous sessions, haven't we? Ladies, putting shit in your backpack and shoving it down, Remember, go back to the guides section and go through and have a look at which ones you've missed. Yeah? Because we've gone through a lot of stuff. But anyway, we talked about shoving that stuff in the backpack and how at some point in the future that will manifest as something. Might not be cancer. It could be just stress and anxiety. Well, that's not a just, because that's a killer as well. Good morning, Grace. Gracie, you're the only one that I know is there. But I know I have 5 people looking at me. Anyway, right, let's keep moving on. So that's really important that we understand the power of that when it comes to something that we have wrong with us. So, for example, at the minute, I know I look fit, healthy on the outside, but I know I've got problems on the inside. Yeah, I already know, due to the fact that I was in an abusive relationship for 25 years and the fact that I had cortisol being pushed through my body constantly, that I ended up with atherosclerosis. So I've already got calcium build up in my heart. I know that I do. Yeah, I knew there was a problem because of my blood pressure, because we keep an eye on our health, don't we, everybody? We look after our own health. Yes, we do. We don't rely on anyone else. So that alluded to the fact I had a problem. So once I got that checked, and I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that that is one of the contributing factors to me having that. But here's the thing, the other thing that I know beyond a shadow of a doubt is that our heart is absolutely capable of creating new arteries within itself. How do I know that? Because a few of my people, this has happened to 3 of my people now, that have had an event, a minor event, and they've gone and been checked. They've gone, oh, you've built this beautiful new artery in your heart. I don't know if you knew that. Your heart is capable of doing that. Yeah. Now, these people didn't think about this. This is something the body just did. Yeah. But because we know it's capable of doing that, I decided that I was going to give my body a helping hand with that. And sometimes I sit down and I just close my eyes and I visualize my heart pumping, and I visualize these arteries growing. Yeah? Because I know that our brain does not know the difference between what is real and what is imaginary. That is why when we watch a movie, especially a scary movie, you know, when we watch a really, really scary movie, you get that involved in it, don't you? You get worn out at the end of it. I've talked briefly in another session about how if you're watching somebody get eaten by a shark, and especially if you're a little afraid of sharks, then you're going to get frightened and you fear the fight response. You grab hold of the pillow or you grab hold of the person next to you, don't you? And you squeeze the living hell out of them. Because in your mind and in your physiology and your biology, your body is going through that. Yeah? It's going through all of those motions. It's like when you watch a film where they're hacking, chopping, and, you know, maybe something like Vikings where we're fighting and we're sword fighting. Your body gets all involved in everything, doesn't it? So think about that. We know that happens. It's happened to each and every one of you at some point. Yeah? And that's where you get so emotionally involved in the movies, and, you know, the love and all the things and the crying and the it's because your body is reacting. Your physiology is reacting to what you're watching because your brain thinks it's real. And that's why we have these feelings when we watch these things. So does it not make sense that if our brain does not know what's real and what isn't, we could pretty much help our body manifest anything? Now, here's the interesting thing. Now, what I'd actually like you to do, I want you to read after the event, once I post or repost this or pop it on, I'm going to put some literature on there. I'd actually like you to go back and read what I put on there because it's got some more of the sciencey stuff behind it, yeah? So it's got a little bit more information than what I'll cover this morning, and it's quite interesting, so have a read through what I post this morning. Oh, good morning, Sandra. Good morning, Carol. Good morning, Miss Carol. Okay, so we understand that the body is capable of reducing disease. We know that. I've seen it, I see it, I'm seeing it right now. We know it can grow new arteries for the heart, even on its own, but why would we not give it a helping hand? So, brain does not know what's real and what isn't. So when we look at the scientific evidence on things like people that have done these sorts of studies on the body, so they gave a group of people, they had 3 groups, one did nothing, one actually worked out physically in the gym, and you've probably heard stories like this before, but this is a more recent study that was done, and the other people just visualised doing the same workout that the people were physically doing. Now, the difference between the muscle growth between the 2 groups that either physically did it and the group that just thought about it, there was only a 4% difference in the growth of the muscle between the 2 groups. That is amazing. So the people that just thought about it, yeah, and visualised themselves doing that whole same workout, so they had to sit there for the same length of time they would have done the workout, yeah, got almost the same growth as the people that did it. So that's amazing. The people that did nothing, well, they got nothing because they did nothing. They didn't think about it and they didn't move their body. So what in your life would you like more of? What would you like to imagine? So it could be a mental thing, it could be a physical thing, it could be something for someone else. Because we also know, that the thought, those main thoughts that we have are going to travel us along a certain path. We know that as well. So it makes sense, doesn't it? And we know our thoughts are really important for our overall health. But if there's something in your life specific that you want to change, let's say it is your physical being and you do want to get stronger, but maybe you've got an injury of some sort, and maybe there's something that you're unable to do because of maybe you've got a problem with the shoulder and you know that there's a certain move that you can't do. It could be a push, it could be a pull, it could be whatever it is, especially with the shoulders. I know a lot of you have had lots of problems with your shoulders. So what could you sit there and do and imagine yourself doing? Things you're unable to do. It could be something you're fearful of. So, is there something that you're afraid to go back and do for whatever reason it is? Yeah? Maybe it could be a certain activity that you're apprehensive of restarting. Or it could be something that you want to go and try. How about you prepare your mind and your body? Remember, you're working both. Because by sitting there and imagining yourself doing these things, you are actually putting the pattern in the brain for the action. You know for a fact that athletes do this. You know that they do. They sit there and they go over and over and over and over the same move. Yeah? And when they go to do that, they've already done their warm-up. They're ready to go. Even their muscles are ready to go, because when you're sitting there and you're thinking about a particular action, all the physiology of your body is getting involved in that. The only thing that probably doesn't rise is the heart rate, but the muscles, the physiology of the body is reacting to what you're thinking about. So that's what I want your goal is this week. Think of something that you want to change. Maybe it's your weight. Maybe it's the way you look. So by sitting there and imagining yourself doing certain things, looking a certain way, if your brain doesn't know the difference between what's real and what isn't, and you consistently, that's the word, persistently and consistently every day, for however long you want to do it. Depends on what you're visualizing, yeah? So however long it would take you to do that particular activity, you would need to sit there and imagine yourself doing it over and over again. When your mind pings and your mind wanders, you bring it back to your breath all the time. Bring it back to your breath, bring your mind back in. So, especially if you're the sort of person that's not ever sat down and done any visualization before, your mind's going to ping all over the place. It's going to think about the thing on the list and the other thing, the thing. As soon as your mind starts to go, bring it back to the breath and remind yourself why you're sitting there, and then go back to thinking about it. Brain pings off, bring it back to the breath, bring it back. That's going to happen. Don't get frustrated with yourself. Just know that until you get really good at imagining whatever that is, then your mind is going to wander. Bring it back with the breath. Think about it. Okay, so we know we can heal the cells. We know that. We know we can grow muscle. It is infinite of what we can actually do to protect our body, yeah? So, and as I mentioned, if you haven't seen all the guides, go back, because we've gone through some really interesting stuff that could really be helping some of you. So I said I was going to look at my notes, and I haven't looked at them once yet. So just let me check my notes. Okay. When you are doing this sort of visualization, you must keep it light and curious. Don't ever have a really hook gaze within this. You do want to imagine strongly what you're doing, but breathe through it and relax through it. Don't make it a chore. Definitely don't make it a chore. If you're in that mindset, don't do it. Make sure you're in a really good mindset when you head off to do this, because you're going to get a better result from it. Make sure you're relaxed. If you are in the middle of doing a million things, don't pick that time to do it. That would be silly, wouldn't it? Yes, it would be very silly, Leslie. Okie dokie. All right. It will also help give you emotional resilience as well. So maybe what you would want to work on is maybe some emotional resilience. So maybe you would want to imagine yourself, maybe there's someone that you know you need to talk to about something, and you know you're not really wanting to do that. You could imagine how you want that to happen and actually take yourself through that the way you want it to be positive. Make sure it's not anything negative you're thinking about, like, oh, I'm going to go and have an argument with that person. Oh, I'm going to tell that person what for. No, we don't want to do that. It's only when you maybe want to share something with someone, you want to maybe get some information from someone, or you want to tell someone how you feel. Go through the scenario in your mind in a positive manner. And that way, if you've done that within your body, your physiology has already been through the emotional part of it all, so that when you actually go to say those things, you've already done it. You had a little bit of a practice run, so to speak, for your mind, yeah? Especially if it's something that's you don't want to do. There's always times we have to say things we don't want to, but you put them off and then you keep thinking about it. And that could be one of those things that's adding to your little stress, one of those things you keep putting in your little bag. Yep, the little bag that we carry around with us. I've still got shit in my bag. I'm still unpacking mine. I keep finding things because I don't know why, because I'm living in my now, and I'm recognising that when something happens external to me and I have a reaction, it's generally a heart-gut reaction. When I know I get that, I've started to stop and acknowledge. Before, when I didn't acknowledge and just kept going through my day, I'd get to the end of the day and wonder why I felt jangled. And it's because during the day things happened and I didn't acknowledge what those things were. And it's really important that we do live in that now so that you can catch these things and then identify things that you know that we need to work on. So whether you want to visualize something physical, emotional, health-wise, if you've got something going on there and you want to improve that, imagine it in its most positive form. But you need to do this with a concentrated effort. Can't be you're busy doing other things and you're flitting in and out of the thought, yeah? It has to be a concentrated effort, a time that you put aside to visualize whatever it is. And so if you have had an injury and there are things you can't do, if you don't have full range of motion in an arm, something like that, visualize yourself taking your arm through these beautiful full ranges of motion. Visualize yourself doing the exercises you know you're unable to do at the moment. And there are some circumstances where there's certain things you can never do again because you've got a tear in the shoulder and it's only just hanging on and you don't want to have it operated on. You know you need to look after that area, and maybe you can't do a push-up anymore. Nothing's stopping you from visualizing that you're doing 100 push-ups because you're going to get the strength in the muscle without doing the work. Does that not make sense? Of course it does. I don't need you to answer that question. Yes, it makes sense. The power of your belief and your intent when you are doing this is absolutely key. Yeah? If you're listening to me now and going, what a lot of hooey, it's not going to work. So you do have to have belief that visualizing these things has a massive impact on your overall health and well-being, both mentally and physically. So please have a think about maybe something else you want me to talk about within the realms of this. As I said, it can be anything, movement, mental, anything external or internal within the body. You know, I've got a plethora of different things that I know. So if there's something you want me to cover on our Monday motivation, then please pop it in the comments so I know. And if you're using this and things start to happen for you and you get benefits, please let me know down the track. You know, I'm always wanting feedback, and it's something I don't get much of because you all think everyone else is giving me the feedback. So thank you to each and every one of you. #replay, pretty please, if you watch after the event, and feedback. Have an awesome day. What is it you want to change in your life? Write it out. Power of the written word as well. Write it out. What do you want? Start to imagine yourself in that situation. Your hippocampus is waiting. It is waiting for you to work it. Okay, everyone. Lots of love and have a fantastic rest of your day. Mwah.